Hi, everybody. I had a few minutes, so I thought I would respond to the book hoarders tag. I know I've done a lot of tags. Seems like I've done a lot of tags the last week. I think I've done more tags in the last week or so than I probably have done in the entire history of my channel previously. But this one actually sounded kind of cool, and the book hoarders tag. So everyone who that I've seen who has done this tag so far has started out with the disclaimer that hoarding is actually can be a debilitating condition for many people, and the purpose of this tag is to be meant to be in a lighthearted way and not meant to be reflecting on hoarding as a psychological condition at all. There's a description of that in the original tag. The creator of the tag was BiblioAtlas, and she has a really good explanation about that on her video. So I will link to the original video below. And then I was actually tagged by Richardson Reeds, who is a relatively new booktuber that I'm really enjoying his content, and so I'll link to his channel as well below. So let's get started on the tag. There's not that many questions, so I'll just run through them fairly quickly. Number one, book you should get rid of but have trouble for some reason. Why? Proud to have read it? Was it a gift? Was you want to read it? Is there an emotional attachment? For this, I'm going to go with My Life by Bill Clinton. This is, I don't have anything against Bill Clinton, but these kind of big political biographies are usually not my thing that I read with, political figures, especially current political figures. This is his autobiography, came out a number of years ago. I don't get rid of it because he's actually signed it and directly to me. I'm going to cover my full name. But it's to me individually. I mean, he didn't write that part. It's been hand calligraphy though, and then he did sign it. And the reason why he gave me this book was because I'm originally from Arkansas, and so when he left the presidency. He is originally also from Arkansas, so his national library, how the presidents have these branches of the National Archives that are the presidential libraries. His is in Little Rock, where I was living at the time, and when it was I'm going to open a few months from when it opened, I volunteered there and was one of the first people who volunteered. I had always really wanted to work in an archives. It has sort of been my dream job that I didn't wind up working in, but I wound up volunteering, and after a year, I met him a couple of times. He's a super nice person. After, I think it was on the year anniversary, he presented, these books were presented to us who were the first kind of small group of volunteers that started working before the library even opened. And so even though it's not a book I haven't read it, and it's so big, with all the moves I've made, I wouldn't have probably kept this book, except for it has that sort of memory and connection. So number two, Compulsive Collecting. What book or edition would you covet or dream of owning? A rare book, signed, first edition, or some other trophy find? Well, I'm hoping to get, pull it up here. I would love to have a first edition of, let me find it, because I downloaded a copy of it just so that you could see it. Resurrection by Leo Tolstoy. I'm hoping to get a copy of the first Russian edition of this, and the reason is because I have sort of a little small collection, my partner and I do, of peace memorabilia related to peace movements, peace books related to that, or peacemakers, books about peacemakers, peacemaking, peace processes, different sort of movements, peace movements throughout history. So we're working on a collection of that, and Leo Tolstoy actually towards the end of his life became I think it's called Christian anarchist. So he was a radical Christian, and he he became an extreme pacifist. He rejected violence of all kinds, and he actually, the book Resurrection, tie into Resurrection, is he donated the proceeds from Resurrection actually went to this pacifist group in Russia who are called the Dobokors. Doukhobors. And the translator that I read, the original translator of the work from like 1899, Louise Maud, also donated the proceeds from her translated edition of Resurrection to this persecuted group. They were very persecuted. This was still during the Tsars. And she writes in the preface to Resurrection, she says, "This novel, written in the rough by Tolstoy some years ago and founded upon an actual occurrence, was completely rewritten by him during the last year and a half, and all the proceeds have been devoted by him to aiding the Doukhobors, a sect who were persecuted in the Caucasus, especially from 1895 to 1898, for refusing to learn war. About 7,300 of them are settled in Canada, and about 100 of the leaders are exiled to the remote parts of Siberia." So the proceeds of Resurrection actually aided in the immigration of this persecuted sect to Canada back at the turn of the century in like 1900. And I think I read that the sect was finally completely wiped out in Russia by Stalin. So Russia, this first edition or an early edition in Russian of Resurrection, I would love to have. So that's on my want list. My partner's actually a PhD student, and he's going to be doing some research for a couple of months in Russia later this year, so I'm hoping he can snag a copy while he's there. So number 3, Safety Among Clutter. What book makes you feel cozy? Well, I'm going to say my Kindle library. If you've seen many of my videos, you see I mostly read electronically. I did a video on the reasons of why I mostly read electronically a while back, so you can check that out if you're interested. But basically, I used to have quite a lot of books, but because of circumstances, we ended up moving from a house. We ended up moving to a small apartment in New York. We've since moved a number of other times, and I actually, through a long story, needed to do something with my books really quickly. I didn't want to put them in storage because people that have put their books in storage that I've known, that has not turned out well for the books. So I ultimately sold them, most of them. I kept only a very small number. You see back through there's quite a lot of books. There's several shelves of books back there. Those are mostly my partners. They're academic books because he's a PhD student. I do still have some though, but ultimately though, my comfy thing is my electronic library. I have to travel quite a bit for work. I mostly read on my Kindle, but I do have this iPad app that I can like scroll through all of my electronic library, which is pretty extensive by now because I've been reading electronically quite a lot of years. So to me, this is nice. Anywhere I wind up, travel for work or whatever, I can sit down, I can scroll through my entire library, and to me, that's just a kind of a security thing, I guess. Okay, number 4, nostalgic memories. What book has a story, how you got it, where you were when you read it, impact, just can't explain. I'm going to go with Lanterns on the Levee. This is by William Alexander Percy. This came out in 1941. It's got an inscription here because this was a gift from a friend. It says, "He conquers who conquers himself. To my dearest friend in the summer of 1989," and then it's signed by my friend. And sadly, I no longer have this friendship, but I still have the book, and so it's brings back memories. This book, Lanterns on the Levee, it takes place in, like I mentioned earlier, I'm from Arkansas originally. This is it's a memoir of this this man who is the son of a senator. He's actually the uncle of the author Percy, and this really tells the story of the 1927 well, among other things. But the Lanterns on the Levee is about the 1927 flood of the Mississippi River, which really devastated a whole lot of Arkansas and Mississippi and Louisiana. It was a huge flood. But I keep the book, and the book is, because it has this memory tied with my friend. So it's that. Don't Touch My Stuff is number 5. What book will you not lend out or have a fear of losing, treasure the most? I'm going to go with my Douglas Adams books. These books I've had since way back when. These are the first book club editions for the U.S. For these 3. They are book club editions, like I said, but they are from the initial year of publication in the U.S. And this is a first edition for So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. This is the first U.S. edition. I'm not sure what printing it is, but it is from the year of publication. So those I would not lend out. If someone said to me, "Oh, I don't want to read your Douglas Adams. I want to read your Hitchhiker series," I would say, "Okay, you know what? There's a Metro stop, one stop away. There's a Barnes and Noble. Here, you can use my Metro card. The trains leave every 8 minutes. I'll see you when you get back." Because I would not loan them these. I've kept these. I've moved around with them. I have Mostly Harmless too. I could not find it today though, so I hope it's just out of order and it hasn't been lost in some of my many moves over the last few years. If I've lost Mostly Harmless, I'm going to be really annoyed, but hopefully it's just misplaced, which is the 5th in the trilogy. All right, number, where am I? 6. Procrastination, Anxiety, Quirky Personality. What book is so delicious that you've canceled plans to read or would cancel plans? I've been really drawn into lots of books and can really easily do that. I don't know if I would just purposely cancel plans to read a book, but certainly if plans get canceled on me at the last minute, I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever, now I'll read my book. And that's for most books that I read, although I do run across the books that are the slogs to get through, but I love it, when I'm really engaged in a book and I just can't wait to pick it up again for whatever activity to be over, whatever social engagement or whatever. So, nice to see you. Now time for me to go back home. I got to jump in bed and read my book. So, number 7, Impulsive Buying. What book did you buy completely unplanned and on a whim? Will you read it? Did you already get rid of it? So I'm going to say Conversations with the Future. So I read on a pretty strict plan. I get a TBR. I formulate my TBR. That's what I did last year and this year, and I kind of stick to that till I'm through these books that I just have assigned myself to read. And I allow myself though 5 wild cards during the year when I'm working on that must-read TBR. I have 5 books out there that that I can go ahead and pick up sort of on a whim. Last year I didn't do any of those. This year I did. I did one called, not being able to probably find, Conversations with the Future, 21 Visions for the 21st Century, and I picked this up on a whim because I love futurism, and I saw this came out, and it was like on sale electronically for like 99 cents, and I was like, done. So I bought that, read it. It's essays from futurists and various futurists and whatnot on various topics related to future technology and whatnot. It's a horrible electronic edition, absolutely horrible. But I did kind of enjoy the book itself. So that's it. I think that's all of them. That's 7 questions. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't think I'll tag anyone though, but if anyone sees this tag and wants to show us their book collections or what they like collecting or their sort of their mindset around their book collections, then I'd be happy to see it. So feel free to do the tag if you'd like. So until next time, take care. Bye.